Alright guys, so here we are on Blender, just kinda gonna go over a few things here. Um, I guess the first thing is if you want to be able to display your screencast keys, couple things you have to do. One, you have to go to the Blender wiki and get the file. But then two, as you can see, just over here on add-ons, and then 3D view screencast keys. All you have to do is click the check mark there. Then we close out of that. You can bring up the 3D viewing or just view panel and period with in. And you can see if you've installed the mod add-on correctly. You can turn it on, stop, and start it right here. So one last thing to mention is in the user preferences add-ons, you want to basically install file from and then just save the file that you get from Blender. I think it's like wiki.blender.org, and just save it to your desktop and just load it from your desktop. So that's easy. It's pretty simple. So what we're gonna do here is basically kind of just navigate around Blender here and just kind of do some testing. So middle mouse button is moving right now, up, down, left, right, just holding down the middle mouse button and moving. Yeah, so you can actually, if you hold shift, you can pan and middle mouse button, shift and pan, and then this one will rotate the camera. So let's basically what I'm gonna do is we're gonna create a mesh here with shift A, and we're just gonna use a cube. So actually gonna try to start just messing around, do a little modeling. So instead of doing something more basic, I know there's probably just a ton of tutorials out there, so gonna get kind of the basics here. So we're gonna move this up. So this is kind of our ground or plane when we're modeling. So we don't want to be anything below that because it'll just be stuck in the ground. So as long as you use the grid as the ground level, and everything's above it, obviously wheels as close to that as possible is going to be great. So, but what we're going to do here is basically try to create this rake here. So it's no different than creating anything. I mean, you have to have something visually to look at. So what we're really looking for is basically the frame here, right? So this is the groundwork, is the framing. Just like if you were to build a house, basically you frame it first. So and you can add all the details later. So we gotta get basically just this framework here. So what I'm going to do is resize this cube, and basically the scaling key is what I'm going to use here, which is S. Scale it down so it's pretty close. And then I'll just scale it. And then after I press the scale button, I want to scale it on that green arrow, which is the Y axis, so we can make it longer. So to do this, just kind of scale it till you're satisfied with it, and that's probably kind of too long. So we'll just press S again and then Y to scale it on the Y axis. Drop it down to about right there, which is probably almost where I had it, but whatever. Bring those back. So this is kind of our main shaft here on the rake here. So basically this part here. So what we're gonna need is this little wheel spot right here. So we're just gonna come to the front of it, and the way I determine front, back, left, right is basically these arrows tell you basically y-axis is up, x-axis which is the red is that would be to the right, and the blue axis is always directly up. So it's green is forward, blue is up, and red is to the right, always. And then that's how you know where the front is. So once that, we're in object mode right now. We need to be in edit mode so we can edit this further. To do that, you can press tab, and everything is selected. To deselect all, you can just press A. Alright, and so over here we can see that we're on the vertices. You can use C to highlight things. So these are vertices, and we don't want that. So we'll first deselect our selector tool by right clicking, and then deselect all with A. We want to change this to faces. So these are edges here. It will only select edges. And the last one is the faces. You know you'll have it on the faces when you can see the dots in the middle. That's the easiest way. So, alright. So now what we need to do is we need to get some material to work with. So then after we've selected it with our tool, we remove our tool with the right mouse button. Kind of get on a decent angle. And we're just going to press E to extrude some material. And that should probably cover it. It's a rough estimate. I'm really struggling with the actual scaling of the models at the moment, so that'll be something to learn further. So now that we have some material to work with, it doesn't look right because it's not bent. So we want to bend that. The way we do that is basic, or the way that I'm going to do that. I'm sure there's tons of easier ways out there, but I'm just learning Blender just like you guys here. So I figured while I'm learning, I might as well help you guys out because that's what these videos are all about. So yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is just going to grab this. Oh wait, no, we don't want to do that. We want to go back here. And basically we're just, first of all, we're just going to bend it where we want it. So we're going to click on this red arrow here on the x-axis and move it to where it looks decently bent. So something like that. The only issue is that these are backwards. It should be pointing inwards instead of flat like that. So now this is where we're going to use our edges select to select this edge here. And we're just going to grab it on the y-axis and move it back a little bit. So that will do it there. So deselect that one, and then to kind of reformat or reform the actual block, we'll need to move this one back out a little bit and over as well. So that looks pretty good. We can work with that. So the next thing we want to do is continue on our framing. This is considered like I consider them like putting in windows. Yes, I'm going to use a lot of building references because I've had some experience framing houses and stuff. So that's how I see things, and so every person will be different, but that's how I see things. Okay, so we'll wait for a couple of these pictures to load here. We really want to look at the back and see what it looks like. So, great, now we're on the back here. And what we're wanting to look at is basically, this is definitely a cylinder here. And these are going to definitely be cubes stretched again. So, that's how we're going to get those. And so, with that, we're basically going to go ahead and go back into Blender. Sorry, I once again forgot to start my timer. So if I don't set a timer, like you could have like hour-long videos. We don't want that. It's because for one, it takes forever to load. So, so let's go to the back here, and again, Shift, holding the mouse pans. Just holding the mouse rotates it, the camera. So, and so we're just gonna try to get a decent angle here. And you know what? We'll create the cubes first because it'll be easier. So Shift A to get a new mesh. Want a cube mesh. Come here, cube mesh. Alright, so I want to resize it. Obviously they're bigger than the actual framework, but not that big. So I'm going to scale that down first. The one thing when you're scaling you want to be wary of is the fact that if you press scale, you can see the color change in my block. See how that changed colors? It's now flipped inside out. You seen that flip? See, the color difference is that it's flipped inside out. So you have to be careful when you're scaling not to scale it too small because it will flip it and start expanding it from the inside out. So there's a limit there. And that looks relatively well. Let's go back and have another look. They might actually be the same width. That's what it looks like. Yep, they are. With just slightly bigger. So that's still a little too big. Now, if we move this down, it's just slightly bigger. We'll make it just a tiny bit smaller. We can get a closer view. The idea when you're modeling is to try to make it as accurately as possible. So that's pretty close. We want them just a shade bit, because I think they're just a shade bit thicker than this one. So we're going to work with that. At least for now. So now this is good. We just need to scale it. So because it's long ways, we need to scale it on the Z-axis. So that's, you press the S button and then Z to scale on the Z-axis, and then expand it. And so when you see my cursor go off screen, that's just me moving the mouse up and down. So it just continues to expand it. So that's all that is. Move it back. Gotta have room for wheels. So those are probably going to go here, which means this one needs to go up, but we can mess with that later. Alright, so we got that. Pretty good. Whoops, that's my OBS. Those are probably fairly easy to make. We could make those and start with the wheels, but I'm going to go ahead and do wheels because they can be harder in some of the old versions of Blender, it was actually, especially I remember back in 13 and 14, when FS13 was, we were playing in modeling. Basically, there was no, okay, so Shift A for new mesh. There was no tortoise mesh. It was actually made differently, but now we can just basically spawn a tire in, which is awesome because that's a lot less work. Alright, so bring the tire back here. And it's a overly sized tire, as well as like tires just do not go on the ground that way. Like, so we gotta fix that. The way we do that first is, first we want it to look right. So we gotta rotate it with the R key, and we want to rotate it on the Y axis. The reason we want to rotate it on the Y axis is because the Y, as you can see, is going this way. And so by pivoting it on the Y axis, we'll get it to where we want it. And that can be a little tricky. So you can just kind of use your mouse to judge the side. There you can see there's a little reticle that tells you the degrees you're rotating it. But I'm this on. So Control Z. If you mess up, just click at what you're doing right there. Just stop and start over with Control Z. There we go. So we're going to rotate on the Y-axis again. And so because I know the value that I want, I'm going to hit in 90. That's 90. And then enter to make that change. There. Now we rotated the tire 90 degrees on the Y-axis. Now I need to scale the tire down to fit the rake. So that, again, that's just with the S. And I know I'm going over these keys as it's telling me, but I feel like it helps you guys out a lot. So we're going to keep doing that. Alright, so again, I was just scaling there, so with the S key. And that looks not great, but relatively close. We can work with that. So these obviously needs to be pushed up a little bit. So we're gonna work with this size of tire. Now this whole new tire thing, I mean, just this tire creating in general, it can be really hard and difficult. Not gonna lie, when I make mods, like that's kind of the hardest thing it feels like for me, is tires. So I just go find a mod with decent tires, but we're creating a brand new one, and I want to learn how to make tires. The rim part is obviously really hard. Let's do it together. So what we know we don't need is basically these two inlines in this mod here, or not mod, but in this tire basically, right? And so inside here we kind of find the middle point, which is not one. It's actually this line, but it's basically both of these squares all the way around. So we really don't need that, because what's going to happen is that's going to be where our rim space is, right? We could remove those, and that will kind of help judge where our rim space is basically going to be. At least to me, that's what seems right. So. And you guys just feel free to post in the comments if you guys got any ideas on how to test that kind of stuff, because that would be really great to know that. So yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is just remove these two sections from the tire. And if you happen to like get over here and select some of these, you can just undo that with basically holding down the middle mouse button as you pan back over the squares. So no worries there. I'm sure some of you are like, yeah, that was really useful because I totally messed up. So, and I do sometimes as well. So obviously I'm trying to be pretty careful. So then obviously, here we go. Just to got it all selected, got what we want. It's as easy as using the delete key. Tells you what you want to delete. Vertices, nope. Edges, remember those are the lines, so we don't want to do we just want to delete these faces, right? So we just select faces. Bam, gone. Just like that. Piece of cake. Alright. Now what we got is basically a decent start for a rim. Now the way I'm gonna probably do my rims is Shift A. So instead of the mesh like we would usually get, right? For the cube or cube or cylinder, I'm gonna use a plane, but it's a circle. It's still a mesh, but I think this is what I want. No, I don't want that. Again, learning here. Me, totally learning. You know what? Yes, we're going to use the circle, and I'll show you why. Probably should be ending the video here. See how much time I've got really fast. Yeah, we're at 22 minutes already, so quick, really fast. I'm basically what I'm going to do is move the circle. No, I'm not going to move the circle. So just going to press F to fill the circle with a plane. Alright, so that's basically like that. So now I got a mesh I can work with, right? So it was just a circle. Alright, yeah. Was just a circle. And now it is, if I press the F key, it is a mesh that I can work with. And then we just, again, want to rotate it on the y-axis, 90 degrees, and press enter. The thing that we do want to keep an eye on this time is this is the back, because you can tell it gets darker at certain edges, and this is the front because it gets lighter. This does matter on this particular thing, so you obviously need to scale it as well. Hope you guys are liking long videos because this takes me a long time to. There's so much to tell. Like there really is. Blender can be really a complicated tool. So to really know where I'm at on as far as size and scale, I'm just gonna pull it out on the x-axis, right, and find out where I'm at. I'm pretty off actually. Alright, so that's kind of better. Now we know we need to go up. There we go. And it's like clear up in my tires, so we're going to scale it down just a little bit. Again, just pull it out on the x-axis using the red arrow to find out where you're at. Alright, so we're on basically. No, we're not on the last line. Still pretty big. What we want to be is in this circle here, because this one that we didn't remove is actually going to bend out a little bit and match, kind of fold in where basically the rim meets, is how that's going to happen. So it is totally cool to be on this line here, because that could be the tire we're actually using. So, but we'll see. So yeah, and basically we're just gonna have to shape that. I'll probably continue this tutorial on the Blender, making the rake here. We've got a little bit done. I would have liked to got a lot more, but briefly covered the basics of Blender and whatnot. So it's gonna have to wrap it up here, guys. Please comment on what you really want to see in Blender. Scripting videos I'm working on. FS17 is, brand new to me, so and scripting modding in general is practically brand new again, because the version has changed drastically from FS13, which is when I did all of my modding and scripting. So there is a really cool converter in Blender, or not in Blender, in Giants Editor, that I will get to in another video. But yeah, please just comment below, let me know how I'm doing, and thank you. We'll see you in the next one.